Excellent. No, welcome back, Bill. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Ashley. Yes, I know we did some of this work last year, and everybody thought, oh, we'll be out of the office by now. We'll be in the office. We'll be doing something completely different. And actually, it's not changed. So I think it's worth looking at it again. But at the same time, there's things that have changed and gone on that people aren't recognizing now. That's really having, an effect and an effect on their health and well-being. So basically we can go and look at this again, and then I think towards the end, then I can explain where I think we are now and what's actually happening. So
Excellent.
basically it's going over the stuff again. There's no harm in doing that. But at the same time, this is what's going on. So I know we spoke about last year about trust and doing this and the vulnerability and the consistency. And I think at the moment, what it's coming down to again is the individual and the collective. It's about trusting yourself and trusting the people you're working for. And given what's happening is this team has been built in completely different ways, and this team's falling apart in different ways because this is nearly a year now, isn't it? We're in February now. This was last March. So basically it's about what's going on from a team perspective and what's going on from an individual perspective. And I think one of the key things going on here is vulnerability.
Absolutely.
People have been more vulnerable in the workplace, and also at the same time they're feeling more vulnerable because there's more pressure coming on them now to deliver in a different way, and measurements are being changed. How are you performing in the workplace? And at the same time, if you're not in the office and it's remote, what are you putting in place to find out how people are performing? What tools are you using you didn't use before?
What are your metrics as well?
Yes.
Has the metrics changed?
And some people are saying you've logged on at 9 o'clock, you logged off at 12 o'clock, you logged on at 1 o'clock, that's fine. Or you haven't logged on, you haven't been working. Again, it comes back to what we said very, very, very early on, the trust issue.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes, and it's so important as well that what organizations are measuring. We're still in this time continuum of measuring time, whereas effectiveness is what we want to be measuring. What are you doing in that time? And arguably, you can achieve something in 3 hours that could take 8 hours, but because you're efficient with your process and what you do, and you're able to concentrate, and you get it done. So what's the point in working 8 hours if you can do it in 3?
And also, if the company says, look, you can have 2 days off, like Siemens have said, if you work 3 days a week and the end result is you've delivered it, that's fine. I don't care how you've delivered it, as long as it's what you've been asked to deliver. And then other people are working 70, 80 hours a week where they used to work 40. So that's really interesting. So the next slide here is we've talked about this again, the Kubler-Ross model, and that's the stages you're in. So basically on the horizontal, you have the time where, are you working 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week? And at the same time, what's happening to your awareness at this moment in time? Are you being frustrated? Are you going into work or are you going onto your desk being frustrated because you haven't got the toolbox, the set or the performance metrics, as you've mentioned quite early there, that to do your job? And it's about, maximizing communication. If you can't speak to your boss, or you see your boss once a week, how are you? I'm fine. And you're denying that everything's not fine, then what's going to happen to you? Where do you go? And would you go into a depressive mood? Would that make you so frustrated and depressed? Oh, by the way, you're not delivering. Why? Because the infrastructure you've given me, or it's happening, is not working for me. Here's a desk and a chair and a computer. Carry on.
No, absolutely.
And then who do you go and talk to about this? And how do you develop what you want to do? So basically, do I give you training at home to allow you to do this? Am I going to send you on a training course, both individually and collectively, to perform differently? And we all know that going on a training course in a room with people is far different from going on a training course in a Zoom call that may last for 4 hours when it's really, really intense. And then, you know, I'm sorry, I've done 4 hours on this Zoom call. I'm absolutely exhausted. What have you learned? I don't know. Can you come back and tell me later on how I should do this? So you're going through this huge, great curve again.
That's a good point you just raised there. Can you tell me how to do this? And that's where I think one of the biggest issues is, and I'm currently living it right now in a leadership development program, have certain tendencies that people have. They don't want to be, they want to explore different ways of doing things and different ways that they can think. They just want to be told, what can I do now? So they want prescription rather than, you know, exploration from themselves, which is the better way of doing it. Because if I tell you how to do it, then you won't learn properly. You know, you're not learning what's the art of the possibility that you can do. Yeah.
Yes, it's really interesting. So basically, some people just want to be told what to do and they'll get on with it, and they're happy in that where they are on the curve. Other people have to be shown, and other people have to be saying, there's this model and that model. Which one is right for you at this moment in time? That's a really interesting question. And that's scary for some people, and it's allowing them the space to say, look, it's okay. And I think, you know, when people are looking for a solution, we never take a step back to say, go and do something over here, which may provide the solution you want, as opposed to saying, tell me what to do.
Well, that's it. And there's nothing wrong with being told what to do. That's fine. But when you're a leader and there's no one to tell you what to do, you have to be the person that is deciding what to do. So therefore, if you're constantly in this, you know, in this needing direction, then as the leader, then there's going to cause issues, because you're the one that needs to create that environment for others below you.
So who does the leader talk to when they ask that question?
Well, that's it. Yeah, external consultants at the moment. But you know, again, rather than giving an answer, if you can have greater awareness, then perhaps you can see 2, 3, 4, 5 different possibilities of answers, rather than the one that I may give you, because you live in the context we don't.
Yes, and that's and again, the thing you said really interesting, that it's about the language you actually convey to that. You know, if you're telling someone, it's a completely different concept to asking someone, what do you think about this? I'm telling you to do this. Oh, you've switched them on and off in a completely different way. So on this curve, you know, and we'll talk about it in a minute, where are they? This is really interesting. So yes, so basically, we've come back to this wonderful place about, yes, we're on this wonderful, beautiful curve. And does this curve really exist? Because it looks like a beautiful wave and it's all in place and it's all happy. And actually looking at what we've done with the spikes, what you've just said is asking and telling is really interesting. Am I spiking you by asking you a question you don't want to answer, or you don't realize you have the capability and capacity to do something different?
Yeah.
And I think if you asked someone there when you did that, that would really come up quite well. Where are you here when I asked you those 2 different questions? And some people may get really frustrated because there's something different here. Oh, by the way, you've asked me a question I don't understand where I am now, but I can't deliver it from a leadership point of view. I can deliver something different here. And then if on the decision-making process, you know, if you work in a new situation, things are going to come up you haven't even thought of.
And that's the whole thing, isn't it? Everything's fine until something goes wrong and it's not fine, or something changes and it's not fine. And that's when you need to be resilient and have the skills to be able to pivot or switch or dial up or dial down efficiently and with agility. But if you haven't prepared before that point, then you're in crisis mode, high pressure, trying to adopt new skills or new environment of working because it's the better way of doing it. But trying to do it when the ship is sinking is a lot harder than when the ship's being built or when it's plain sailing.
And also, do you have the skill set when you've taken the wrong course and you have to go 360 degrees now? So you have to turn the ship round because we can't do this now. How do you plan a new route? Well, you get the map out and say, what's the best way to go. It's not the map, it's the destination. And how you're going to get there. And you have people around you to say, oh, by the way, I know about this. Would you like to take me on board to help you do this and look at a different possibility, as you said? And that's what a good leader is all about. I'm going to pull in another team because something else has come up.
Absolutely.
And that's not to say the leader's weak. It's like, we have all these wonderful people. I don't know everything, but I know I can put my hand to the people who can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, very true.
So basically, we've taken a snapshot here. What you're just saying is something's happened, something's come up. How do you spark that motivation and engage with a new situation? You've just told me, oh God, this has all gone out the window. Right, what do we do? Take a step back and say, right, what have we got here? Who do we get into place? And by the way, now this is what we've got to deliver because it's completely different.
Yeah.
Your power source has gone down. The building doesn't work. What do we do? Do you have a plan to say, right, move certain people out of the building to still deliver a customer base? And that's really good. And then people say, oh, you don't have to do this. You don't have to buy it. And then suddenly when you realize you need to do it, you haven't got it. And that's one of the biggest conversations you have. You're paying money for this it will never use. And the day you need to use it, you've switched it off.
Absolutely.
So basically, I've gone back to this slide and I've put two things at the bottom, the affect and the effect. So basically what you said about the leadership thing is really interesting because the affect is the impact on you as a leader. How is this affecting me? And by the way, by doing that, what effect does that have on the business and the team? And that's really good about the leadership model, what you said earlier on. How is this going to impact me as a leader? And what effect is this going to have on me and the team as a collective? And people tend to get it the wrong way around. And for me, this is what I've been talking about for the past 2 weeks, is how this is affecting you. What impact is this having? Given what's COVID's happening and we're still not in the office, we're still working. How's it affecting you on both a daily basis? And what effect does that have you in a team and the collective?
Yeah.
And I think once we understand that this is happening, things can affect you, on a daily basis. What are we going to do about it? I'd like you to do this and deliver this. Right. Do we have the tool set and the mindset to do it? And how would this affect the bigger picture? And I think once people understand that, because this is happening now, it's not that it didn't happen before. I think it's become more profound now.
Yeah, absolutely. Before, probably within industries, there was things that were going on that were specific to those industries and didn't affect everyone. This has affected the whole globe, situation that we're all in right now, in various different degrees, but everybody is feeling the pain in some sort. You're absolutely right. I think just to touch on what you were just saying about having the mindset and the tools, and I would say the mindset is probably the more strongest aspect you need to consider, because if you've got the right mindset, you'll find the right tools, or you'll find a way.
Yes. And I think, again, it comes down to the fact that we all have this toolbox. What do I have in it now? And what have to be put in it if something shows up? And a good leader will allow that to happen. Yeah. One of the things I was talking about last week is about changing people on training. Right, we're going to give you this high performance training. And it always seems to be either the senior management, the leaders, or the people on the board. My model would be, if I'm working with a team of 10 people, each one of those 10 people within a year would do a similar sort of training that I've done. Because trying to explain to them, I've done this training and I'm going to drip it down, doesn't work. No. Because I'm coming from a place, I've gone out for a walk, I've seen stuff, and I'm telling people in the office, I went out for a walk today, it was wonderful. Well, what did you see? Well, I just looked out the window. If you went out for a walk and saw something, how would you record that and how it would affect you? So for me, that's really, really important. Then that encompasses a team in a completely different way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see a lot of organizations are not thinking about everybody as a collective and, doing a development program at this level, but it doesn't transcend down. But the conversation is, okay, how do we enable what we're talking about in our people? Well, give them the knowledge and skills that you've got to uplift them, and then allow them the environment to do what they need to do. I love your analogy there. It's the same as, me going on a plumber's course. I become a qualified plumber, but then teaching, my friend to be a plumber, it's not going to be the same level of sort of development that they're going to get. There'll be things that I miss out, or the value that I will place on things that they perhaps would have seen different ones.
Or they may ask you why the house is flooding because you didn't put that wrench on properly. Yes, something really simple like that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's coming more and more to the fore. Right. By the way, you and I are both under senior leadership. Right, go on it, and then you go and tell all your team, and they went, "Oh well, they've gone it. You've got the certificate on the wall, and you're trying to impart the knowledge and wisdom you have from the course." Mm-hmm. Yes, so you're telling people what you've done.
Yeah.
But actually, on another level, they haven't experienced it. Mm-hmm. And it's coming more and more to the fore. What do I have to experience in order to deliver this, and for the team and for myself? And yes, we have to shift a few things.
Absolutely, it comes down to what we both sort of believe in: is experiential learning. You learn from doing. It's the greatest way we can learn, especially as adults.
And sometimes we need to go out and play.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Sometimes we need to go out and play. Go and play in the beach. Go and play in the sand. Go and play with some Lego bricks. Go and build. Go and draw something that you've never thought of before, and see what comes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. See you next time.
Yes.